Hey friends, it's Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. Why are people so addicted to fear? My goodness, let me share with you this meme that I posted on my Instagram page today. Marked safe from the solar eclipse. Yes, so many people were spinning in the spin cycle and worried that this was going to be somehow the end of the world. Now, you might be too young to remember. Let me see. Let me get you back to my Instagram page. Be sure that you're subscribed here. I've got all sorts of little memes and shorts that are taken from my longer form videos. So would love to have you over on this channel as well. But why is it that people are so addicted to fear? We are going to be talking about that, and we're going to be talking about some ways to overcome that fear. I was saying back in Y2K, when the world was going from 1999 to the year 2000, we went through another sort of spin cycle, I guess you could say, where people were afraid that the world was going to end, their computers weren't going to work, and their cars weren't going to operate, they wouldn't be able to go to work, the whole world was going to shut down, and actually nothing happened at all. It reminds me of a few months ago when the cell phones, when the government was sending out a national alert via cell phones, and people were concerned that the world was going to end then again. Luckily, God alone knows the day. And so I'm not really worried because I put my faith in him. But I want to share with you some specific ways that you can get out of that spin cycle, out of the fear. And isn't it troubling when you see people that are actually living their lives directed by fear? That's exactly what happened during the hogwash over the last 4 years. People literally could not think clearly. Their rational minds were hijacked by fear. And later this month, I want to bring to you a very special interview with a healthy American. He's actually a healthy Australian. He's a longtime friend of mine, and he's going to be bringing to you information about what happened in Australia, how people literally lost their ever-loving minds. And interestingly, my friend was a licensed psychologist, and he stepped away from that mainstream medical merry-go-round, and he's going to tell you exactly what went on in Australia, why he decided to step away from that licensing type of practice, what he's doing instead, why and how he saw people being gripped by fear, and why and how people can get out of that spin cycle. All right, before we do that, let's talk about reducing fear around your money. All right, for those of you that are interested in securing your wealth with precious metals, stay tuned for this message from the sponsor of today's show, and this is noblegoldinvestments.com. And if investing feels overwhelming for you right now, I know it does for a lot of people. It seems complicated. There are so many decisions, but leaving your money in the bank, does that sound like a good idea? It's not a great idea. It's losing value every single day. So if that is stressing you out, maybe driving you nuts, why not invest smarter with Noble Gold Investments? Listen, you can give them a call at 877-646-5347. You'll speak to somebody in the United States. I know the owner of this company, and I've had him, the CEO, on my show several times. And so he'll tell you how precious metals are simple and real. There is not a company on the stock market that was around 2,000 years ago, but gold was. And it's always been there through wars, disasters, turmoil, even the solar eclipse and Y2K. Gold is reliable, dependable, and authentic. And that's why you really can't go wrong with precious metals. So check it out. Noble Gold Investments will have your back. And as I say, the American-based experts are going to show you how to basically set and forget your IRA. And you can get a dedicated professional assigned to you. There's no hassle, no call centers, no high pressure. You can get free information here. And then I want to show you that this month, Noble Gold Investments is giving a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin with every qualifying IRA investment. So the disclaimer I have is that there's always a risk of investment. There's no guarantee of any kind, but go to the link I'll have for you below. That is noblegoldinvestments.com, and you can find out directly from the experts. Friends, my goal on this channel is to help you step out of the spin cycle, to not live in fear. And over the last several days leading up to this April 8th event, I'm broadcasting right now, April 8th, 2024, people ask me, Peggy, are you going to be covering the eclipse, the solar eclipse? And what's going to happen? Should I fill my car with gas? Should I have extra food? well, I always think it's a good idea to have your car filled with gas and that you should have extra food, but I don't think it's a good idea to live in fear. So I consciously decided that I was not going to cover this story in advance and add fuel to the fire in terms of having people be on edge. What I want to talk about is why people are addicted to fear and then simple steps to get out of that. You may think, Peggy, I'm fine. I do not live in fear. I've got my feet on the ground, on the non-spinning earth, and I am just fine. Well, I hope that is the case for you. And if it is, then I would like you to share these tips with others that you know are in the spin cycle. So let's go through this list that I have. And I think a lot of people are prone to feeling fear. Now, there is legitimate fear. For example, you have a reality-based concern about something that's going on. Then there's kind of an underlying dread or anxiety where it's a generalized discomfort or sense of unease and you can't put your finger on it. That can also happen when you are engaged in behaviors like watching the mainstream media, being obsessed about the news. I've done videos before about that line between being informed and being obsessed. So a quick review, if you're informed, you know what's going on, but it's not keeping you up at night. You are not being informed at your own expense, meaning you're not neglecting your own personal care, such as hygiene, healthy eating, exercise, keeping your house clean, doing your laundry, going grocery shopping, spending time with your loved ones, spending time engaged in hobbies or activities that actually bring you joy, that fill you up instead of draining you. That's how you know whether or not you've crossed that line between informed or obsessed. Informed, you know what's going on, but it's not directing your every mood and your every move in life. You can set it aside, have its proper place. Now, often people are going to be addicted to the drama and addicted to fear. And it's actually sad to me because what I've noticed in certain people that they're using this addiction to the drama as a distraction from their own life. Perhaps they are facing some hardships. Maybe there are financial hardships. Maybe there's a health crisis. Maybe there are broken relationships. Maybe there's a lost job. Maybe there are financial responsibilities that are mounting. Maybe you've got repairs that you need to be done to your home. Maybe you're being kicked out of your home. And there are so many areas in our life where we could say yes, 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 yes. And when we're addicted to fear, that obsession can actually be a type of strange relief from those other problems in our life. Sadly, it can allow those other problems to get larger because they are unattended. So we need to face our reality squarely. I highly recommend getting support from people that understand you. That's why I love our Healthy American community here. I especially love all of those that have supported me financially, that you've sent a check, you've donated online, you are a paid subscriber to Substack or peggyhall.tv. And then we have our own private community. And we get together once a month, the last Saturday of every month. And there are a lot of relationships that are created in that private chat. No one else sees it. None of that is published on any of these public platforms. And I've seen people get the support that they need. We pray for each other. We share empathy and support. So I implore you, if you or someone you know is struggling and you feel that you are addicted to the news, addicted to something outside of yourself because you can't squarely face what's going on, number one, get the support. There are caring people that you can find online. You could find someone in your own area that you can go get, help from in person. There are churches. Of course, I'm very how do I put this, discerning when it comes to churches that I go to, because I'm not going to one at the moment. I have a direct relationship with God. And I do want to let you know, and I'll share this with you. I've got a couple of pastors that I do follow online. And one is my husband, Pastor David. He has a YouTube channel called True Hope David. He would love nothing more than to pray for you. You can email him, and it's truehopedavid@gmail.com. Let him know what is on your mind. He will pray for you. And then Pastor Kimball of KPAC Bible Church. I've mentioned him before. He's a good old-fashioned preacher, and he wears a suit. He sings hymns, and it is a faith-based, Bible-based, old-fashioned church, not the Schofield Bible. And those of you that know what I'm talking about, I'll leave it at that. And that is another person that provides me with spiritual support. You can listen to his sermons online. So if that is an area of your life where you have felt a deficit, there are a couple of ideas for you right there. So getting the support can help you face your reality, face your hardships. We all have them. No one's life is perfect. Problems are a part of life. We have the opportunity to learn and grow. I'm not saying that it's easy, but there's nothing wrong with difficult either. If you like this kind of content and you would like more of my support, I've got a second channel called Living Swell with Peggy Hall. We talk about overcoming the hardships, why adversity can actually be an advantage, how you can make decisions without regrets, and so much more. So if this content is of value to you, please subscribe to that channel. I do a video every Monday. And in fact, after this video, I'm going to air the broadcast I did earlier today on Living Swell because it ties right in with some very important information that actually is coming out from the Vatican of all places. And I'm going to be sharing that content with you tomorrow. But I do want to let you know that there is help to be had for those that are living in fear. All right, there's a second reason why people live in fear, aside from the distraction that it provides because they're watching a show. It's like an ongoing soap opera, and it's a reality show that is a skewed reality because you know and I know that the powers that shouldn't be are scripting this for the exact reason of hijacking your emotions, from distracting you not only from your problems, but from things that you love to do in your life. Let me know in a comment below what brings you joy. I'll tell you right off the bat, I've got my animals. My silly Teddy is right here keeping me company. I've got a senior citizen, Elsie, elderly cat that I rescued from New Orleans back in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. I love being involved in animal rescue. I've spoken on this channel about the group that I support, which is called START. And what they do in California is they take these animals that are on death row and they work with other animal rescue groups outside of California, because basically California is a killing field when it comes to animals, sad to say. And then they get these animals their happily ever after homes in Oregon and Washington and Idaho and elsewhere. So that's something that is important to me. And all along, through all of these years of the hogwash, I have still been connected with my animal rescue pals. And I've done videos and interviews from time to time with them as well. So I will never allow the hogwash, the hoopla, the mainstream media merry-go-round to deprive me of that aspect of my life that brings me joy. I love to swim. I love being in the water. I love to surf. I love being by the beach. I love to teach water fitness classes. I love to teach in general, and that's what I'm doing here on YouTube. I will never allow the tyrants to steal that joy. I will always find a way to teach and encourage and exhort and inspire and empower and engage, because that's what God has called me to do. I will never allow the mainstream media merry-go-round or any fear-mongering or flu-mongering to take that from me. I love spending time with people that I love. I love having a nice meal together. I love laughter. I love, yes, I love rainbows, the way that our good Lord made them. And I love sunsets, and I love to laugh. So I like clean comedy. These things help me feel more uplifted. I get a relief and a release from what's going on in the world. So I will never allow the tyrants to steal that joy. Period. I love to travel. I hope that I will get that back up and running again. I used to travel around the world. I've lived in different countries and different places, and I love to learn about other cultures, other perspectives. It broadens my view. It informs my view. So God willing, I will have that opportunity again. So these, and you know what? Even if you have some things that you love and you're saying, Peggy, that all sounds well and good, but I don't have the money. I don't have the money to travel. I can't go to these classes. I live in an apartment where they don't allow me to have animals. Friends, there is always another way, and you can find it. That's one of my mottos. There's always another way, and I'm going to find it. Let's tackle the animals. You could volunteer at an animal shelter. You could play with the animals, walk the dogs, clean the kennels, and have your fix with animals. You could also be a pet sitter for someone else or a dog walker. So just because you can't have an animal where you live doesn't mean you still can't be involved in that. What about travel? I can go online, even if I'm not flying anywhere, and I can have maybe plan a dream vacation, or I can watch some videos on YouTube of where people are traveling. So there's always another way, my friends, and you can find it. All right, let's talk about, so those are two things. People are using fear to distract from the problems in their life. They're using fear to distract from the things that they love in their life. Why? And here's the reason why. Fear can masquerade as energy. I find this so fascinating. How does it do that? Well, when people are watching, for example, a scary movie, which I don't care for. I've never cared for those scary movies. I've never cared for fast cars. I've never cared for surfing big waves. I've never cared for any of those life defying activities like skydiving. You might be different. I'm just speaking for myself. I don't care for riding on a motorcycle. I've never been on a horse as an adult. Let's see what else. I don't go on the Ferris wheels and the roller coasters. You may love that, and I love that for you. And I'm not saying that you're going after that for this very reason, but there are people who will use fear and these death-defying kinds of activities to give them a jolt of adrenaline. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, to get a jolt of adrenaline. I would say that's why a lot of these, big wave surfers and race car drivers, they feel alive with that adrenaline. But why are you getting it from the news? That's a little strange to me. There's no skill involved. At least these big wave surfers are sort of developing a skill and overcoming the odds. But why would you give yourself that jolt, which can be harmful over time, because it's actually a stress hormone? So the mainstream media news and all of this, Y2K back in the day and the solar eclipse, doom and gloom, it gives you a jolt of adrenaline and of cortisol, which are stressful hormones. And when they're not released in your body, guess what? They harm your immune system. Gee, do you think that the media and the powers that shouldn't be, they wouldn't want to harm your immune system now, would they? They wouldn't want to keep you obsessed about what's going on rather than live your life in joy and freedom, living fully and freely. Oh, no, 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 no. But what happens is that this adrenaline can masquerade as energy. And I'm sorry to say that there are people among us who are depressed. And depression is not so much a sadness, although there can be sadness involved. It's more of a sense of despair, of what's the use, of why even do anything. And some people can experience despair and depression as a sense of just feeling flat, like life is boring and nothing is worth the effort, like getting up and making a cup of tea is just not worth the effort. Doing the laundry, what's the use? And when people are exposed to this jolt of adrenaline, it could possibly snap them temporarily out of those feelings of despair and depression, because now they feel alive and alert and engaged and a part of something. So acknowledge that, or be on the lookout for that. I also believe that's why certain people are addicted to gambling or shopping online or other behaviors that give them that momentary thrill to lift them up and out of the depression. Why are they feeling depressed? Well, I can't diagnose that, but in my own experience has been when I am well rested and well nourished, and when I am well engaged in life, doing the things that bring me joy, even if I have to make an effort to do so, that brings me closer into feeling better instead of feeling flat or despairing. So that's just a tip that I have to offer. There's another reason why I believe people are addicted to fear and why they don't want to give that up, which is why they want to be a part of all of the doom and gloom and the dread and the spin cycle. Because once they get through it, they feel like a survivor. How many people to this very day are telling me that they or someone they know had cooties? Oh, yes, it's still going around. Didn't you know? Even though it has the exact same symptoms as the flu. It's different, you guys, because it has a different name. So of course it's different, and it's treated exactly the same. When you have the flu, you should rest, take it easy, do all those things that you do that you feel better. And if you have cooties, the flu, then you do the same thing. But it's stunning to me. Actually, it's not stunning. I understand it, but it's sad to me. People want to feel like they're a survivor. They got through it. All of the hardships that they went through over these last few years, the losing their job, maybe losing a loved one, literally, having financial problems, health problems, breakups in friendships and relationships, not being able to go to work, maybe being terminated from your job, all of these things that people have gone through, and they can sit up and say, I'm a survivor, I went through it. And it's very difficult to break that connection between that addiction to the fear and the dread. People are still looking at the numbers of the hospitalizations to this very day. How many people email me with, all of the harmful ingredients in the cocktail? Like, why are we still talking about that? Like, if you don't know by now that those cocktails are, how do I put it, very, nicely harmful, deadly, then I really can't help you, but we don't need to keep talking about it. Let's move on, shall we? That's sort of that being stuck in that fear and feeling like you're a survivor, like your life has value. Interestingly, the video that I'm going to play for you coming up is all about you do not have to prove your worth. You do not have to justify your existence. And so stay tuned for that. All right. So now, those are some of the reasons why I believe people are addicted to fear and dread. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if you know someone who is living their life like that. And remember, we have no control over someone else. We have no control over their thoughts, over their emotions, over their choices, over their actions. So many relationships have tension and they are fractured because we or they are trying to impose our will or their will upon us. And that is not possible. Again, over at Living Soul with Peggy Hall, I've got tons of videos about controlling what you can, how to speak your mind without losing your mind, how to stand up for yourself, and how to have these interactions with others in a way that is not going to drive you or them crazy. One of my favorite videos is how to deal with difficult people. So if that's something you need, I've got some tips for you as well. So to summarize, how to overcome, how to get out of, break that fear connection, break that addiction to fear and dread. So one other thing I wanted to mention, sadly, and truly my heart goes out to people who've experienced this. For some people, their upbringing was one of fear. Maybe there was abuse in their household, alcoholism, other things that left them always looking over their shoulder and waiting for the other shoe to drop, using that expression. And so that is a learned response that everything in the world is to be feared and you should be afraid of it and you have to be on guard and you can't trust anything. So that can be like a PTSD, a sort of a lifelong impression that can have you constantly on edge. It may be that you want to get some support in that area, as I mentioned previously, getting support from others, perhaps finding some spiritual counseling and encouragement. I gave you tips and I will leave links for you below. Having community, trusting in the Lord, fulfilling your purpose, spending more time living life rather than fearing life. Figure out what that looks like for you. I'm going to be with you every step of the way. And then stay tuned because I've got this special broadcast for you, which is all about how you don't have to justify your existence. You are worthy in and of just being born, all right? And tomorrow, it's so interesting because I just saw today that the Vatican released this 20-page document all about the dignity of every human person. And there are so many things that I agree with in this document, and a few things where I think the Vatican goes off a little bit to the side. And I know how many of you feel about the Vatican, but I do want to break down this document because there are some very important statements about the eternal dignity of each and every human being. And I find it so interesting that this was published. And earlier today, before I even knew that was published, I did a video all about your intrinsic worth. That's what I'm going to play for you now. Tomorrow, we'll talk about the human dignity coming from the Vatican, and it certainly is not going to sit well with the transatlantic voyagers. I'll just put it that way. And then stick with me, because later this week, I've got more about Baltimore. I'm going to be breaking down the Pelosi crime family and all of the corruption. And I have lovely, healthy Americans that are in Baltimore and Maryland. And wait until I expose what they shared with me. All right, friends, signing off for now. Stay tuned for the next video. I love having you on board. I love my healthy Americans. I love my moderators, keeping that stream and the chat flowing. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you, everybody, for marching this with me all the way to heaven.